Welcome back, everybody, to another podcast with MotoGP Mac and Jake tonight. How are you doing, Jake?
How you doing, guys? Fine.
Good stuff. So we're going to talk about the drama that was in Aragon today. I think it's interesting to see what exactly happened. There was loads. There was the whole Marquez incident with Tekka and Fabio. There was the Beast versus Pecco in a Marc Marquez versus Pecco battle, realistically, of what we saw the year before. It went from bad to worse for Fabio then after it. So, and yeah, look, a couple of things I suppose that we noticed throughout the Grand Prix. But look, before we talk about the drama, what did you actually think of the race itself?
It was a good race. Like I say, good close racing. Didn't have a ton of passing, but everybody, the track was very slick, so I didn't expect to have a lot of passing. And with the Ducatis, they don't want to crash at this point, so everybody's being a little tender. Nobody's pushing that 10 tenths if they don't have to.
I definitely noticed, though, during the race that there's a pecking order within the engines. Do you know what I mean? And I actually think the most powerful engine is Ducati. There is no doubt within that. But on acceleration, what I found out with number 2 was the KTM.
Yes.
It was pulling better than the Aprilia out onto the long straight. I don't know, did you notice that at all?
Yes.
But it was just like
they find something. I didn't hear about it, but man, they were trucking right along off them. They were coming off them corners like a bullet.
Yeah, now Guidotti said, that they were mainly working, like they've given up development of the 2022 bike. It's gone, it's done. Binder does go well when it's a slippy surface or when it's a slippy track. So I think he was just able to measure himself really well. He got a bullet of a start, absolutely brilliant. Do you know what I mean? And he was fighting away. Once he got past Jack Miller, he was really able to hold his own. And kind of sad, actually, that Aleix passed him. Do you know what I mean? Because I did feel he did deserve the podium. Do you know what I mean? He worked hard for that one. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, look, I was a little bit disappointed, I suppose, to see him there. Maverick had a good race, besides qualifying poorly.
Yeah, that was surprising.
In the shenanigans that happened. Well, no, he had his first. This is his first crash that he had in qualifying. Was the first time he dumped the Aprilia in 2022.
That's what I say. It was surprising he did well in the race, being that qualifying was so pitiful.
Yeah. No, look, he crashed on his last flying lap, which was fine, but he was affected obviously by the Tekka Marquez crash, right? So himself and Morbidelli were down towards the tail end of the field, well, last and second last, I think. But he battled back to 13th, which is good, I suppose. You know what I mean? It's not great, but it's when your teammate is finishing on the podium. So Aleix has kind of stamped his authority back in the Aprilia garage for now. But
for the weekend. Yeah,
for the weekend.
Yeah.
But look, I suppose we'll definitely get into the elephant in the room. Marquez seemed a bit wild. The old Marquez seemed to return, especially for the first lap.
Yeah.
Look, he got a great start. Do you know what I mean? He overtook, what was he, 12th?
Yeah, 13th. He was 13th.
He was 13th, and he was into fifth or sixth. He overtook Fabio, who got a poor start. And, then turn 3, the world actually kicked off and everything just went batshit crazy for the next 4 or 5 corners. With, you could see Marquez when he was coming through the corner. He was slightly wide. He wasn't majorly wide, in my view.
No, I didn't think he was that majorly wide, but he always comes out. I'm a Marquez fan, but I've always said he should be penalized. He should have been penalized 5-6 times before for barnstorming the first corner, for bashing into riders. He just goes in too hot. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think he did though on this occasion.
And
You
this
know,
was a relatively light one compared to some of them. Some of them, he's went and trying to make a 2-foot bike go into a 1-foot hole.
yeah.
Many times.
But it was actually what actually kind of, I think actually what happened. He was a bit off the racing line. I will be fair and say that, but Aleix and Bastianini actually touched. If you watch the replays slowly, and that I think took his eye line, and then the back started to come around, so he came off the gas, and Fabio had absolutely nowhere to go. Like it was, it reminded me so much of the Rossi and Lorenzo in Assen. Do you remember that time where it was like a thing, but they were just banked over too far, and of course Fabio.
And when you dump the throttle, you know as well as I know, you dump the throttle. People don't understand. You dump the throttle, the weight transfers instant, and it puts more load on the tire. And gone.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, but I just think like Fabio was actually extremely lucky. Like the bike rolled over him. Like, do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
he is. Huh? No, but
like it right over top of him. You could see it.
No, it hit it. It hit him. It did hit him.
Did it hit him?
It did hit him.
I thought it missed him, but I thought it. But it flew over the top of him. It did hit him. Oh Jesus!
He did get a crack off the old bike. So she told him that she loved him. But you know, like he's only had some burns in his chest. No, he is sore. He said that he was sore, but you know that wasn't the end of what happened then, because Marquez kept going, obviously, as you would. Came in, navigated 4, 5, and 6, and came into 7. And as he exited the corner of 7, he engaged the right height device. And of course, when the back of the bike dropped down, and I've looked at the video, you can actually see, as his bike drops down, a piece of Fabio's fairing sticking out of the back of his bike. So what he says happened is that when he lowered the rear of the device, or rear of the bike started to lock, and the rear wheel started to smoke. And you can just see it just began to smoke before he hit Taka. Now, when he hit Taka, he didn't hit Taka shoulder on, shoulder to shoulder. It was the front of Taka's bike. So Taka still would have been in his blind spot. But because the piece of fairing was in there, Marquez was actually slowing down. So the bike was pulling left into Taka, but it was also slowing down. So as Taka was coming up, that's why it looked like they hit each other a couple of times, because Marquez couldn't actually accelerate.
Right.
Because the bike was actually slowing down because the rear wheel was locking with Fabio's thing. And I was thinking, I was like, Jesus. Like, I actually, when I watched it in real time, I was like, they got to do Marquez for this. Like, do you know what I mean? Whatever about Fabio being a racing incident, do you know what I mean? This now,
Marquez does not get a ticket. That's all there is to it.
So I was
Honda pays big money so he doesn't get tickets.
No, but like I was still like, if I held it to the standards of Nakagami in Catalunya, yes, he should get a ticket. He impacted 2 people's races by a mistake, or whether it was not a mistake doesn't really matter. You did it. Look at Fabio in what happened in Assen. He didn't mean to take Aleix off, but he did.
Exactly. Right.
But looking then at it later on, and looking at it very slowly through the thing, you could see, okay, look, there was a mechanical failure, and there was not a lot he could do. Like there was no way he could really avoid the slowing down because the rear wheel was locked. You know what I mean? Or locking. But then saying that, look, you know, if I was, as I said, to apply it to standards and stuff like that, he does deserve something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Now, look, he was very apologetic. Now, Taka's hand is in absolute crap. Like, I don't think Taka would be riding in Japan.
No.
No,
I
I
didn't hear
saw
about the
pictures
hand.
of it. Yeah, his right hand was all bandaged up and everything. So I think there was some serious issues there with that. Maybe he whacked it off the ground, or maybe he caught it on Marquez's tire or something like that. But
Yeah.
he does look like,
Asphalt does nasty things to tire. It even does nasty things to leather. Even your hands, the first thing you put down, it chews
yeah,
them up.
yeah. So his right hand anyway looks to be a spot of bother, as we would say over here. But look, I think whatever side of the world or field you're on, you know what I mean. If you're pro Marquez, he doesn't deserve a penalty. If you're not so
Yeah.
pro Marquez,
I'm pro
if you're
Marquez,
not
but
so
I
pro,
still say he should get a ticket. He should get a penalty. I've
I
seen
think
it
so.
say, he should have got a penalty for towing. He was still pulling the towing crap in qualifying.
Yeah.
He's in the middle of the line. He's waiting to the side. Anybody else would have done that. They'd have given him a fine. And pulling a tow is dangerous, especially you're coming in lower speed and catching up. You're getting in people's way.
Yeah.
And they've had a few close calls with it already. With Marquez doing it.
Yeah, and look, there's the toe and there's the marker, and it's very hard to judge getting it right, because if you're getting a toe, you want the person maybe a second in front of you. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
If you want to get a marker, it's between a second and a half and 2 seconds. Just so you can get, where's he braking? Okay, I'm going to go a little bit more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But look, I hope people see a little bit of common sense as well, because like last week, everyone was giving out about Johnny Ray and this, that, and the other for bashing someone off a bike. Technically, this is what Marquez has done as well. And whether it was fault or intent or anything was there, doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Now, he didn't finish the race. And I think actually that messes Mark up even more, that he didn't finish the race, if you know what I mean, rather than like I genuinely thought they would have a look. So there must have been some damage to the rear right height device in the fact that they didn't just change the tire and put him out and just try and get more miles on the shoulder. So I definitely do think there was something damaged on the bike as well. So, but I suppose that was only the starter to the main event of the race. And what do you think of the Beast and Pecco?
I'll tell you what, it's not going to be the same situation as Pecco and Miller, because the Beast, he was flying. He's at his equal, if not better. He's at the speed. He's almost the speed. I'll say, we'll go at this point, of Pecco, and he holds the tire better. It doesn't burn tires as much, so he can be a real threat next year.
Is that now? I know I've always been saying this, right? And if you can go back to my very first few videos, if you'd like, and I think it was Argentina that I proved the point that the 21 is better on tires than the 22. The 21 can turn and accelerate for longer in the race than the 22. And I think it was.
And they said the 21 was the fastest bike on the Beast bike, was the fastest one at Aragon. So not only did it hold up the tires better, but it's faster. You think they want to, maybe thinking back, go back to 21. They missed the golden goose.
They were saying that he is that the Beast is lighter also than Pecco. So it's a real horsepower race there. But like I think it was quite interesting, the interview that Bastianini had after. Is like he's like, I didn't actually try to pass or plan to pass Pecco where I passed him. The opportunity just presented itself, and I just went for it. But when he went past Pecco, I was like, oh, Jesus, here we go. This is going to be Le Mans again. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Pecco start chasing and push it too far. But in fairness to Pecco, this time that he kept the head. Do you know what I mean? He was going to try and pass him into turn 16. And you could see that it was on, but he bailed out with it, because I'd say he got a
So you
warning.
saw the same thing. I thought he backed off there. He could have kept going, and he backed off. Which I was saying to myself, just be smart. Take the 20 points. You got a fresh kid, with more balls and brains. You don't want to play chicken with him. He wants that win more than you do.
Yeah. And listen, look, it's going to be Japan. We'll see when we get there. It's probably going to be wet weather when they get there. So again, the Ducati goes well in the wet. So like the only racetrack that Pecco really has to worry about is Australia. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not a favorite track of Ducati's, but it's a good track for Yamaha. But yeah, I actually thought it was just a really good ride from Pecco. If I'm honest, I thought he was mature enough. You know what I mean? He knew he had the 20 points, and then with Alicia Spargaro, 17 points now cover the top three in the championship again. For me, reignites the whole championship, I suppose. You know what I mean? Yeah. A few races to go. But I will be interested, all right, though, to see how Fabio does bounce back. This is the thing with the flyaways. Like he jokingly said that I'm going to sleep on my back for the next few nights because obviously all of its front is a thing. But can he get back and be fully fit for Japan? I don't know. But yeah, look, I think it's definitely interesting. It's going to be a definitely interesting rivalry between the Beast and Pecco. They're cut of the same cloth. I do think. They're stronger in each individual areas. Like Sector 2, Sector 3 was Pecco. Sector 1 and Sector 4 was Bastianini. You could see he could close the gap at any stage there. But yeah, Fabio, then I suppose Fabio's day just went from bad to worse.
He'll bounce back. One, he's the best rider there. Two, he's young, so he'll be by the week.
Yeah, but I suppose, look, firstly, you're having a bad day when you crash your MotoGP bike and you land flat in your face and it tries to kill you itself, and then when you're getting onto Marshall's bike to go back to the pit lane and lick your wounds dry, having a head-on collision with another bike is not what you want to have, and that's exactly what happened to Fabio. So yeah, you could imagine. So you have the world champion on the back of your bike with you, and you crash.
You see him crashing and going, "You got to be shitting me." You know what I mean? Like sitting on the ground, having the scooter crash. Like this can't be happening. Yeah,
it's a pure Mr. Bean moment in my view. But look, that's what happened to him. Look, he was able to laugh and joking about it, and he was like, "Well, at least myself and the scooter rider are both going to be sore."
Misery loves company.
Yeah. But I'm interested to see now how he'll come back in next weekend, because he does need to answer the lads back now. He's had things are outside of his control, but he needs to try and stamp the foot down now and say, "This is my championship, lads." Do you know what I mean? Because Pecco has whatever is closed in now. What is it? 46 points or 56 points. He was 66 points behind, before the summer break. So, he does need to answer. But I'm sure Fabio will find a way to be Fabio and to do what he's going to do. Just on Japan, there is talks that Japan might not happen next weekend as well. Fabio was kind of smiling when he said, maybe with the weather we shouldn't go.
Well, of course, you would think that.
Especially after crashing twice.
Mm-hmm.
One, not your fault, and the other, not your fault. But
Dorna would give him a fine for crashing on the scooter.
Yeah. Thanks be to God he wasn't driving. But yeah, there's a typhoon or a super typhoon coming for Japan, and so the whole country is in lockdown or shelters or whatever. So Not even sure if it's going to be safe. I do know that Dorna did send a man over there already this week, just to have someone on the ground to say whether it's safe or not. So I suppose watch this space. I wouldn't be surprised if it was called off with the typhoon. I suppose just a couple of riders throughout the race that kind of really stood out. Brad Binder was superb.
You heard me here first. I've been saying it for years. They said Brad Binder's the next Marquez. Put him on another bike. He's the dark horse of MotoGP.
Well, he definitely has the balls, right, to be a MotoGP rider, and you know, he did a great pass on Miller. I'm a little bit actually. I know Joe, like Aleix needs the points for the championship, but I do think he deserved third today. I think definitely there's the pecking order with the engines, but like watching him coming out of the bus stop there and down the straight, you know what I mean? He was absolutely unreal, but he was riding that bike so far past its potential.
Oh yeah, he can ride that front wheel. He can run that front tire like Marquez. I mean, he pushes that thing. You've seen him slide 3 foot with that front tire, just pushing it all the way through a corner. It's amazing. What can he do with something? He can balance it out and actually control it instead of just grabbing his ass and guessing. Yeah,
well, look, Guidotti has said that now that KTM have stopped all development on 2022, they're all focused on 2023. So look, it will be interesting to see. I did think Martin would do well this weekend. Now look, top 10 is okay, but I really did think he'd be up there. Do you know what I mean? Racing at home, a little bit of extra va-va-voom or whatever you want to call it, but still kind of the slump is still going on for him, which I do find weird, I suppose.
He seems to fade, and that keeps me going back to that wrist. Just go out fast, and then his lap time start to drop. Keep looking at that wrist. And folks, it's not arm pump. It's the wrist. It's the nerves going. This is what I read. It's the nerves going through the wrist itself. That's something that reoccurs if you're doing an activity that beats on the wrist. Yeah.
Marini did quite well as well today. He actually beat Bezzecchi, which is not an occurrence. Oh, and news that came out this week as well that I know make you a very happy person, Jay.
Yeah.
Is that Ducati have said that next year there's only going to be 4 GP23s.
Smart move.
And it is. So everyone else is going to be running 22s except the 2 factory and Pramac. And that's the way they need to keep it.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah. That's why I worry about Aprilia. I thought everybody was jumping up and down. They're going to have a second team. I'm going, well, you don't have testing, so I hope they can get all the work done for the second team because they're not a very big company. People don't realize how small Aprilia is.
But it also kind of puts a bit of pay to me, like.
And I mean that. I mean engineering. People don't know that they don't have the engineers have no testing. Not just I'm not talking about the riders themselves. I'm talking about the test riders for the engineers to get things done. Just so we differentiate between it. Okay.
Well, let's not talk about test riders in front of Franco Morbidelli. Anyway,
rings on the wall.
Yeah. Whatchamacallit? I do find it interesting though that Ducati have come out and they've said that, right? Because I still reckon that VR46 and Yamaha are going to team up for 2024.
2024. Yeah, I guess they could get it done in that amount of time. Yeah.
Well, no, their Ducati factory or their Ducati contract ends in 2024. I don't know how long Marini's contract is, but I know Bezzecchi they've contracted Bezzecchi for 2 years.
But Ducati's going to try to hold on to Bezzecchi.
Oh, they will. Yeah. He's going to be another one. You know what I mean? Like, because I do think Zarco's days are probably numbered. I don't think. Yeah. I don't see Zarco going into 2024. I think they're going to need to bring someone young up, but I do think they'll keep on to Zarco to be a test rider with Michele Pirro.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so I think it's I do think it's interesting, I suppose, just to wait and see what happens there. What was the
Then there'll be
other?
another seat open with Fernandez getting booted off.
Do you think he won't do well on the Aprilia?
Not a chance. I think he's a cancer. I think he's gonna pout, little millennial bitch who's gonna pout and blame everybody else, and they're gonna boot him.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still. I'd like to see how he.
I mean, he did nothing this year. I could see if he did something. I know the KTM's a pig, but it's still better than the Honda, right?
Yeah, championship says so.
Yep, and they did some standings, but he didn't do anything. He was fighting for dead last with yeah. I mean every race. And don't tell me he's so hurt that he just hasn't been able to ride for his entire year. I mean, come on, the poor guy got forced into MotoGP. Boo hoo, you know, cry me a river.
Yeah, well, look, you know, I've gone through this with people. His price tag was €1 million to release him, right? KTM got caught with their pants down with Jorge Martin. They had an 80 grand buyout. Sure, right. to Ducati, that's cheap as chips. By the way, go develop our riders for us, and we'll just pay 80 grand on this. So if they think of anyone like your man Acosta, right? How much of the buyout contract is he gonna have? Right? It's gonna be 2-3 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
KTM are probably praying that Honda will want to buy him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like saying that, I just thought, you know, it was jury is still out on him. He does have the potential to be good. The Aprilia is a good bike, and if he doesn't do it this year, then definitely off he goes to British Superbikes. He doesn't even deserve to go to World Superbikes. You know what I mean? He's not at world stage level. Now, something that I found very interesting, and actually we'll go back to talking. You were talking about the toe and Moto 3. Did you see what happened between the KTM and the Max Racing team?
No, it's 5 hours behind you. I think I napped on that. I fell asleep on that one.
No, this was actually yesterday in qualifying.
Yeah. No, I still didn't see it.
One of the KTM riders was coming out, and Sasaki was actually coming out of his box. But weren't two of Max Racing mechanics standing next to the KTM rider? Right?
I heard something about that, yeah.
And when he tried to take off, they literally blocked him, and one of them, or maybe two of them, touched the other KTM brakes.
Yep. That's so
they got fined. They got fined by They got fined $2,000 each, and then they got a 2-race suspension. But because of visa issues, the suspension is not going to take place until for 2 races or 2 races, I think. So they're not going to go to Australia or Malaysia or something like that. But for me, as a racer, right, you know, it's not that they should be getting a fine and suspended. They should be absolutely fucked out, right? And pardon my French, right? But yeah, it's an unwritten rule in racing. You don't
touch
no. Look, as a rider, right? You can go out there, beat the living shit out of each other, and that's fine, right?
Right.
As a mechanic, it's like a hell of a no-no to touch a competitor's bike unless you're helping them with good intentions. But these guys are, and like Max Biaggi, who is in a hell of a lot of trouble. Max Biaggi was like, "Oh, the punishment that they got from Dorna and the FIM is nothing compared to the punishment I'm going to give to them." No, they did apologize, but Biaggi is in an awful lot of trouble with the team. So the team is actually, and the entry is owned by Peter Ertel. Philip Ertel, I don't know if you ever remember, he was a racer. But Biaggi holds the main title sponsor, the bikes and the equipment and the riders. So there's been a bit of a disagreement between Ertl and Biaggi, and it's gone to court. And the court have found in the favor of Ertl. So Ertl owns the Husqvarna Racing entry. So Biaggi is literally going to have to sell up the team, the personnel, the team, all of those contracts. Now, saying that, the rumor has it that Biaggi is supposed to be going to RNF Aprilia as sporting director. Okay, and this ties in nicely with you saying that they're not going to run with RNF Aprilia next year. So that Biaggi is going to bring some Sturlgarda sponsorship money with him to that team. But I just thought, like, in a weekend of crazy stuff happening on the track and whatever, you know, those guys will be lucky, I'd say, to get a job in a bike shop.
Yeah, what possessed him to do that, though?
They were trying to stop. They were trying to stop him from getting the tow.
A tow, yeah, but that's a little extreme to come out and I mean, a lot extreme.
Like you
there
don't
must have been words said beforehand. They had to have bad blood before that.
And I'd say it definitely took off. Definitely carried on out the back. Like, Jesus, if I imagine now, like if that was a club racing, right, and you touched one team, it'd be out the back of the paddock there, and it'd be like, you know, like a big game of kick shit, like, you know what I mean? Don't you touch my bike, like, you know what I mean? Be worse than touching your woman, like, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
that one rider touched the other rider's lever in Moto 3. He got banned for life, didn't he?
No, he didn't get back. No, he got back in, but you know, he got back in, but he actually got sacked from the Moto 2 team then earlier this year. But yeah, look, I think so. When I'm looking back at everything from the weekend, I think Marquez is going to cop an awful lot of bad press. Looking at the MotoGP side and all of this, people are very unhappy with Marquez and what happened today. I can't really say it's 100% his fault.
No, that's accumulation though. That's if he hadn't knocked into so many people prior to this and bashed into fairings and pulled the toes. I mean, it was not that bright to come out of retirement and then pull another toe, and you're the only guy doing it. Mm-hmm. Imagine if everybody was pulling a toe. It would be pandemonium.
Yeah, it would.
People
Absolutely
smashed up. Yeah, I mean,
going through corners.
Knows the only reason that they're not banning it in MotoGP is because Honda's telling Dorna not to do it. They're getting Honda has too much influence in Dorna's affairs, and it's blatant now.
Yeah, I think
even Fabio came out and said the only reason Taka didn't get a fine was with the bike he's riding on, and he said that in international press. You remember?
Yeah.
So it's not. It's blatant. It's even when you're paying off a building inspector, you don't tell the world. It just shouldn't be blatant. I've done these things before. You know, you just.
Yeah, look, I just think, look, there's enough there to say it's a racing incident, but there's also enough there to say, you know, the consistency with the stewards. Look at Fabio's crash with Aleix. Yeah. No one was actually hurt. Do you know what I mean? And the both bikes were able to continue. And he was done for it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think, I do think that if I'm to keep my standards the same as the standards that I kept with Taka, he does deserve something. Because regardless whether or not he did impact Taka's race. Do you know what I mean? Was it intentional? No, it wasn't. But like Pecco last week or the week before when he got in the way of whoever and got the penalty in Misano. He didn't mean to do it, but he did it in Alex Marquez's way. So look, I just think they need to probably put their hands up on that one. But I think that's about it for tonight. There's lots of that I do want to talk about, but I'll do videos on those because there's a couple of hard questions or hard things that I do want to dedicate.
A lot of revelations, yes.
Yeah. But it's just it's a short race week this week, so I have to be picky and choosy about the videos that I do. But yeah, look, I am looking forward to Japan. It's been a long time since we were there. I will be doing lives.
Japan.
Yeah,
always like Japan.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good one. But yeah, so look, thanks to everyone for joining this one. It was a short and sweet one this time, Jakey. We didn't make the hour, but sure, look, we'll try again next week.
We'll over talk next week.
We'll over talk. Yeah, we'll do an hour and a half one now next week. Yeah. We have so much to talk about. But yeah. Look, thanks again for joining and thank you for listening. Don't be afraid if you do want to make a guest appearance on here. All you need is your phone and your earplugs and your microphone that you would normally talk into your phone to. So don't be afraid to come on. Jake, thank you so much for your time.
And subscribe. We're going to hit the 5,000 mark. Come on, guys.
Come on,
a lot of people coming on there. Huh?
That's it. That's it.
We're hit the 5,000. Damn it.
Let's get the 5,000, and we'll see you all next week.
And we're better than Crash, so damn it, subscribe. Take care, all.
Take care. I just want to take a minute to also thank you for watching my videos and the support that you've shown so far. If you haven't subscribed already and you would like to subscribe, it would mean an awful lot to me if you did. I'm starting this channel realistically so that we can all enjoy MotoGP together with the aim of streaming a live video when the GP races are on.